Take it away, Trustee Kudo.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. We've got Therese Klein just coming on, so I'll give her a second to get online here.
Here I am.
Hello. Okay. President McCaig is not near a laptop, so she'll hopefully be joining us by phone. If not, you're stuck with me. Apologies. I'm going to call to order the meeting at 6:30. Bart, we don't have to take a roll, do we?
Nope. Everyone's present except for Commissioner Wickland and at the moment President McCaig.
Okay. All right. Well, then we will move to the first item of business, which is the special joint meeting of the Plan Commission and Community Development Authority meeting minutes. I would happily entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
Move approval.
I'll second.
Second. So we have Kathleen and Barbara with a move to approve and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Is that you, President McCaig?
Yep.
Yeah, I just joined the meeting.
Okay. We have one. The ayes have it. Motion passes.
6-0. Yep. 6-0.
Next, we'll move on to the item number 3, the consideration of a conditional use permit application for outdoor dining at commercial property 4144 North Oakland Avenue. Bart, can you give us the overview, please?
Yes, I will give a brief presentation here. If you can't see it, once I get going, someone let me know. That's not it. Why does this never go to the right place? Stop sharing. Share Windows.
There we go.
Okay. So we are here tonight to consider an application for outdoor dining at 4144 North Oakland Avenue for what will be Foxhole Shorewood in the former space most recently occupied by Hyatt Taco. This is just an overview of the site showing the conditions to the east, north, and west. To the south is Eastwood Place as well. So just seeing where the location of this business is in relation to other neighboring land uses. The project and parcel overview, 4144 North Oakland Avenue is zoned MX1, Mixed Use Storefront District. This district does allow eating and drinking establishments and retail sales as permitted uses per the use table within the new zoning chapter. However, outdoor dining is allowed as an accessory use subject to conditional use review by the Plan Commission per 53526F, which is why we are here tonight. The proposed operations would be a fast casual restaurant with full bar and retail sales. The hours of operation I have in your packet, I did have one slight update. So Monday through Wednesday, it's 4 p.m. through midnight. Thursday and Friday, 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. Saturday, it's 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. I misread the application. And then Sunday, 11 a.m. till midnight as well. So that's what the proposed indoor operations are. There was no indication of differing outdoor operations, so it's the assumption that they're proposing to do the same. However, as we'll see later, the Plan Commission does have the right to review those hours and restrict them as they see fit. 6 employees would be on site per shift. They're expecting approximately 40 customers per hour. Outdoor dining is proposed on the patio, which is to the south of the property or south of the building and to the west along North Oakland Avenue. Here's an overview of the remodeled floor plan. So they did do some extensive remodeling, I would say, in the inside, just to get a different floor plan and flow. Once again, we're not here to review this, but just for your reference, they did modify that. What we have on file from Hyatt Taco here shows the outdoor operations that they utilized. The tables are largely in place, so we're presuming a similar arrangement would be there. Up to approximately 50 guests, I believe, could be accommodated at full capacity. There's also a fire pit in the back if you're familiar with the property. Here's just a general overview. So as you can see, the outdoor dining is contained to the south with a cinder block wall, as well as to the east, with a higher wall blocking it from the neighboring apartment building as best as it can. And then along Oakland Avenue, there is a wooden wall and landscaping in front of that as well. So it is generally contained within that particular area. Here's just an overview of the south outdoor dining area. And then here is one along North Oakland Avenue on the west. As I mentioned, the Plan Commission has specific overview of outdoor dining as a conditional use permit. Within the new zoning chapter, we do have use-specific conditions for outdoor dining. Within your packet and on the slide here tonight, I've outlined the 3 that I believe are most relevant. So once again, outdoor dining is allowed as an accessory use only to eating and drinking places or events, venues as a principal use. We have an eating and drinking place here, so it does qualify. D, a side and rear buffer per 535-24G may be required as a condition of the permit. And then F, outdoor dining may be required to be closed by 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday. And this is in my way. And midnight on Friday and Saturday as a condition of the permit. Other hours of operation may be applied as conditions by the Plan Commission. So these generally are what we're looking at here, whether or not you believe there's adequate buffers in place currently, and whether or not you agree with the proposed hours of operation or would like to restrict those. So those are the use-specific conditions. And then generally, as you're familiar, we also have the 7 standard conditional use permit conditions that I will not read here, but they are standard for every review that we do. So if you need to review them, I can bring them back on the screen. But if not, that concludes the staff overview of the item. I will stop sharing.
Okay.
And then just for reference, the applicant is here. Dan Gillespie, I believe, is signed in under Terry Blonick. So if you have any questions for them, they are here to answer them as well.
Okay. Thank you, Bart. Why don't we go to, we'll hold off. We have deliberations after public comment. So why don't we open it up for public comment at 6:37 rather. Any members of the public that wish to be heard?
I am not seeing any members beyond plan commissioners or the applicant or staff that are on the call, and we did not receive any emails prior to tonight's meeting.
Okay, then we'll close public comment at 6:37 and move on to deliberations within the Plan Commission. Would anyone like to be heard? Bart, can you call? I see Kathleen's hand, but can you call on folks, Bart? Do you mind?
Sure. I'll go with Kate Flynn Post first.
Okay, so I just want to say first off, I'm excited to have a new business in this location. And I'm not typically in favor of limiting business owners' abilities to make their business profitable. And I think that they should have as much flexibility to run their business as they see fit. But I'm also wondering about restrictions to the hours of operation, because that was something that you highlighted. And so what does it look like in terms of the other businesses along Oakland that are comparable? If you could give us some reference point, that would be great.
Sure. So just to be clear, we're not limiting the hours of operation internally,
Right.
just the outdoor dining.
Yeah.
And so to my knowledge, I don't believe any other existing outdoor dining has been limited. But this is a new regulation that was added within the new commercial zoning update. So I wouldn't suggest that's a comparable because this regulation used to be within the food chapter, actually. We identified that, found that, moved that into zoning. And so this is actually the first time that these particular use conditions have been reviewed by the Plan Commission. So to my knowledge, the other outdoor dining is not restricted. We do restrict the use of seating in the public right-of-way. I believe those are similar hours that we used when we crafted this legislation. So we do restrict parklets and outdoor dining on the sidewalk, but this is outdoor dining on private property. I believe that the hours that are allowed to be restricted are similar to what they are for both parklets and sidewalk seating.
And what are those? Do you know?
If you give me 2 seconds, I will just look at the application to make sure I get them correct.
I meant that, the hours we allow for parklets.
Yep, I got you. I'll get
Okay.
those. So this is for outdoor seating within the public right of way. So on the sidewalk seating, those are limited to Sunday through Thursday, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. and Friday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. And for parklets, it is the same. So Sunday through Thursday, 7 to 10, And then Friday and Saturday through 11.
Okay. I don't know who was next in the question queue, so I'm starting at the bottom of my screen. I'll go to Therese.
I feel like I'm cutting in front of Barbara, so it's all right. So we have some precedents. There's been 2 other restaurants in that space that have had that same outdoor area. Have we had any complaints?
To my knowledge, the only complaint that I can remember at Haya Taco actually related to the sound of their fryer, the vent. It wasn't related to people being on the outdoor area. And then they did have complaints from the Mosaic apartment across the building of their music being too loud that they did turn down once they realized it. So to my knowledge, my office did not receive complaints on people actually being out there and being loud or doing anything like that. It was more so the sound of the fryer being on at night and the music, which they were able to turn down once we identified that problem.
And just a process question, if I can add a part 2 here. If there are complaints, then we can change the restrict the hours, right?
Yes, if we receive multiple complaints, we can request the Plan Commission reconsider the approval. That is part of the conditional use permit approval process, that if we receive enough complaints, we do have the opportunity to re-review it.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Bert, quick follow-up question on that. Is that part of the revocation and termination rights that we
Yeah.
have, or is that a separate?
No, I'm speaking of the revocation section.
Thanks.
Commissioner Kylie Miller.
Hi. At first I was wondering whether that was a typo, that they wanted to stay open till 2 o'clock in the morning on what I would just term a school night. And I didn't know if, like the city of Milwaukee, Shorewood limits, like bars and restaurants with a shorter closing time during the week than they do, say, on Fridays or Saturday night. So
the only limitation that we have is by the state with respect to liquor licensing. And so I believe that they have every right to be open as long as the state allows that. So I don't think that we have any local restrictions that could overrule that. So yes, the only local thing that we have is with respect to public right of way, which, like I said, is currently cut off at 11 p.m.
Yeah, I remember several years ago, there was a complaint from someone living in that apartment building just north of Kensington about the, people sitting in the parklet outside Three Lions. So even if, say, they cut off service there at 10, and kind of herd customers, inside to sit at the bar or whatever, there's nothing to stop. It would be difficult, I would think, for the operators to prevent anybody from the public walking by and, having a seat on their patio and chatting, late. That's kind of, difficult to control. Let me see, what else did I have? So as far as our noise ordinance, do we have does that
the
go
noise
along with the, does the noise ordinance match up with the hours of operation for the parklets and the public right-of-way seating?
The noise ordinance, yeah, the noise.
PM.
Sorry, the noise ordinance doesn't have hours of disturbance on it. It's just if there are disturbances. I believe the noise ordinance. So I'm pulling it up here. So it says yelling or shouting, shouting, hooting, whistling, or singing on the public streets, which once again is not private property, but public streets, between the hours of 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. or at any time or place so as to unreasonably annoy or disturb the quiet, comfort, or repose of persons in any office or in any dwelling, hotel, or other type of residence, or any persons in the vicinity is prohibited. So once again, that is currently enforced by the police if they see activity like that between what did I say, 10 p.m. and 7 a.m.
So not quite unlike, don't go out and mow your lawn before 7 in the morning, because that could create a disturbance for neighbors. Okay. I think that's really all the questions that I was wondering about was the noise ordinance and the, hours of operation being
Okay.
later on a Thursday night.
Okay. Are there any questions specifically for the applicant?
I have a comment when it's my turn. This is
It's your
Ann.
turn. It's your turn.
Okay. I understand the distinction between the private property and versus a parklet or outdoor seating. But I think we do ask businesses to turn off their music at, 10 on weeknights and 11 on weekends. So I think that would be a reasonable request, not to limit operation per se, because it is on their public property, but to limit music so that it's consistent with other businesses along Oakland.
Bart, is that something we would need a motion on, or are we able to just?
Yeah, I
could
would
just
like,
be-
I would like any sort of restriction like that to be identified in the motion, whether it's pertaining to closed operations outside or no music outside or things of that nature. Just something that's easily enforceable either by my staff or the police department should there be any questions.
President McKay, you want to make a motion?
Okay. If you are ready for one.
Always.
Oh, okay. I would make a motion. I don't have the language in front of me, but I would make a motion to approve the conditional use permit at 4144 North Oakland Avenue, adding the limitation, the restricted use of music after 10 p.m. on weeknights and 11 p.m. on weekends.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
So motion made by President McKay, seconded by Commissioner Klein. Any discussion?
I'm still not sold on the timelines for operations yet, so I'm not sure I'm at a yes yet. We're ready to make a decision.
Do you need a question answered from the applicant, or?
Yeah, are you willing to entertain any additional modifications, or is that your motion?
If you want to make perhaps President McKay will entertain a friendly amendment, or if there's a question you want to ask the applicant, or if there's more discussion you want, we can do that.
We can take a vote. I know I'm not persuaded yet, but that's fine.
Commissioner Kylie Miller.
It's okay.
I am a bit concerned about, only because this patio butts up against an apartment building and is across the street from another one on that side street, whatever that is, about people, and they did say in the application they could be serving up to 50 people outside. So during the warmer winter months and, even into fall around the fire pit, I'm a bit concerned about a maximum of 50 people or 25 people or whatever, sitting out there till 2 a.m. on a, Thursday night when the residents next door might be having to get up and go to work in the morning, or their kids have to go to school. So I know you had somewhere in here, I thought, we could limit use of the patio until 10, or that was their intention. So anyway, that I'm just saying that concerns me, that, I always want a business to be good neighbors to whoever's around them, other businesses, residents, whomever. So I have a concern about Thursday night.
Yeah, to answer your question, Barbara, the code does say that the Plan Commission can require outdoor dining to be closed by 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday and midnight Friday and Saturday as a condition of the permit. So that is within the code that, should you feel it's necessary, you could require.
That's just for outdoor dining, not for the seating, right? So
just for outdoor dining, correct.
So the folks are still going to be sitting out there. They just may not have food in front of them.
They shouldn't be served out there, correct. They can't go in and bring things out and back and forth, etc.
Okay. Josh, do you have another question?
Yeah, I was just also wanted to think about our enforcement like mechanisms here. If we do have an ability to be a little more permissive to start with, as long as we have a very tight, I don't know, if we're going to pay attention and look for any issues, if we've been overly permissive, I think that's another way to think about that. I just want to, in my 2 years here, I don't think we've ever reviewed a granted conditional use permit. So I'm not too familiar with how frequently we actually look at that stuff.
So this one would be enforced by the police department because obviously my staff is not around at nights and weekends. And so if and when they would receive complaints, they would forward those to me. If I were to receive multiple of them, that would be when we would look at re-reviewing it under the revocation procedures. But yeah, we would rely on the police department to provide us with those. Based on that largely is a complaint-driven thing. They're not proactively, looking for noise ordinances, and so it'd be whether or not residents or nearby businesses or whatnot would call them to complain, and then we would have that on file for the public record.
So we have a motion and a second. Does someone want to make a friendly amendment, or do we want to continue with the vote on the motion?
Could you read the motion back to us, Crystal?
Yeah. Pardon my voice, it sounds like garbage. Approve the conditional use at 4144 Oakland, adding limitation to restrict music to 10 p.m. on weekdays, 11 p.m. on weekends.
So I guess, quickly for me, I'd like to give them a shot, right? Like, I think that it's private property. They're not in the right of way. Everyone here is an adult. We certainly have the ability to bring this back if there are problems, if there are noise complaints, and we get a number of those, and it becomes a hassle. Then we can bring them back. But I would like to give them sort of every opportunity we can to flourish as a business and open up and do well. And if we have to address something down the road, we certainly can. But I'd hate to do it now if we don't need to.
And I would add, there's been 2 restaurants there with the same size patio, same seating capacity, similar business hours, I'm assuming. Then we haven't had issues. We haven't had complaints logged.
They also went out of business. They were that good at it. So.
Oh.
Okay, so I'm going to call the vote here. Do we want to do a roll call or do we want to do voice?
It'd probably be easier for me doing a roll call just so I can catch everyone.
Okay. We'll do a roll call vote, please.
Okay, Josh Pollock.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry, I'll come back to you. You can think.
Thanks.
Therese Klein.
Yes.
Barbara Kylie Miller.
No.
Kate Flynn Post.
Yes.
Trustee Kudo.
Yes.
President McKeag.
Yes.
Josh Pollock.
Doesn't matter, but no.
Okay.
Okay.
4-2.
Okay. Motion
Okay,
passes
motion.
4-2.
Okay.
Hey, Bart, can I just real quick? Like, I don't like the idea of citizens having to go to the police to mitigate a noise dispute, and that's the way we're going to deal with revocation. Like, that's I guess where I'm at right now. If we could take input and revisit stuff, I think I would have been like, okay. But you have to get the police involved? I don't know. That's just what doesn't sit right with me. If that's the way we're going to enforce conditional use.
There's no other way for staff or administration or staff to monitor it because once again, the police are the only people that we have on a Friday night at 11 o'clock that are able to redo it, whether it's complaint or proactive. The police can do it without a complaint. I'm just saying usually the police aren't necessarily monitoring that on a nightly basis, but we can ask them to proactively look at it. I have no problems asking Chief Worth
Oh, I was more on can they just send us a note? Hey, we don't have to go to I don't want to call the police on someone. That seems like so unneighborly.
The problem with that is that's unsubstantiated then. So a neighbor could complain about it, and without substantiating whether or not that was legitimate or not, we as staff can't act on that. We can't take that to court. We can't do things with it. So we have to have some level of substantiation. Otherwise, a neighbor could complain regardless of whether it's happening or not. So this is the problem we run into with enforcement of Airbnbs and things of that nature, is that, people don't like them, they complain. But if we don't have anything substantiating whether or not that complaint is legitimate, we can't act on it, unfortunately. And that has been advised to us by our attorney. So we don't issue citations or take things without substantiated evidence.
So, as far as the agenda goes, we can, Josh, if you want to add something to a future agenda item, we can certainly do that. But we're sort of done for tonight based on the agenda.
Well, new business.
Colleen Miller. What's
Hi,
up,
I
Josh?
just wanted to, I understand Josh's concern about, the Shorewood Police Department to have bigger fish to fry. But I think residents do that all the time if their neighbors are having a party, too late or too rowdy. So it's probably not the first time they would have gotten a call about this kind of thing. I mean, decades ago, my brother had a live band in his east side apartment and the police had to come to the door because, hey, if you're living next door or above or below somebody with a live band, you probably, would be complaining too. So I agree with Bart that there's probably no other way to handle it, is to, if the police get a number of complaints from the surrounding neighbors, it's something we could look at then, but.
Okay. Well, folks, if there are no future agenda item requests, then
Can we talk about revocation permits in the future agenda then, if we can learn about how that works, and if there's other neighborly ways we can get feedback from the community rather than relying on just the police? I'm also curious about residential zoning and where that stands, but.
Bart, can we take a look at that during our next meeting?
Yeah, the next time we have an agenda, I can just give a primer on revocation. It's never been done in my 6 years here, so I'll be speaking theoretically on what the code says, and we'll see how it works out. And then I can talk to Attorney Bayer to see whether or not he has any differing advice on providing substantiated evidence. But like I said, that has been a very standard practice in my 6 years, that we can't take a complaint without it being confirmed by someone else. So, but I can look into that as well.
Okay.
Thanks for the suggestion, Eric. I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. Any other future agenda items?
We have nothing on file at the moment. Our application deadline is next Wednesday, so should something come in, we would then be scheduling for the Tuesday after Thanksgiving.
Is there any
Okay.
update on the DPW site further to our last joint meeting? I'm just wondering when we might expect an update on that project.
Yeah, I believe Village Manager Ewald was hoping to get through the budget first and just confirm, what is available for the next steps. I believe she was looking at securing some funding, perhaps to move forward with at least finding a site or things of that nature. So I don't want to speak for her because that could be completely wrong. So just take that for what it's worth. But I believe that she was waiting for the village budget process to be completed. So that should be done by the next November meeting. So if she has an update, we can bring that. Otherwise, we will, keep you in contact with whatever next steps are.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. If there are no other future agenda items, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a
Second.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
I know Barbara made the motion. I don't know if it was Kate or Josh that seconded.
Kate has it this time.
All right.
Dancing with the Stars starts in 1 minute.
It wasn't actually me. I think it was Therese.
Was it Therese? Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm in a cave. I don't know what's going on. All right. So a motion from second. All in favor of adjournment at 6:59 p.m. so you can watch your 7 o'clock shows.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Aye. Opposed? We stand adjourned at 6:59.
All right. Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.